Hey there folks, it's Blue here from Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and upgrading the third of the 4 Lord of the Rings Commander precons called Riders of Rohan. This precon is red, white, and blue, also known as Jeskai, and the suggested commander is Eowyn, Shieldmaiden. Eowyn is 1 red, 1 white, 1 blue, and 2 generic mana for a 5/4 legendary knight with first strike and an ability that states at the beginning of combat on your turn, if another human entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. Then, if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card. If I were to guess what this deck will be about based solely on what Eowyn does, I'd venture to say it's going to be a human and/or knight, tribal/typal combat-based deck. The only way to know for sure, though, is to rip this open and find out. Before I do rip this bad boy open and show you what's inside though, I want to take a moment to let you know that if you're in the market for an awesome looking deck box, playmat, or sleeves, please visit our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com and take a look at what they have. Their deck boxes are some of the best that I've ever used, and you can even get an additional 5% off of your purchase if you use discount code BLUEBEAR at checkout. If you'd like to take a closer look at their deck boxes, check out the link that just popped up at the top of your screen. That link will take you to a review I did of their Radiant 100 Plus Hidden Island deck box so you can see how it looks and all of its features. Now, let's get to it and see what's in the box. So here we have the outside of the packaging. It has Eowyn as the suggested commander, and then we have the 3 colors the deck is, and then the back of the box has some of the information on it as well. And let's just open it up and go from there. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, pull that out, all the little extras. We got the box here. So this is what the front of the packaging looks like. It has 2 additional counters that I don't know what the symbols are for. +1/+1 counters on the sides. On the top there's a +1/+1 counter, and I guess that's a shield counter. This little cutout, and then the 2 little on the back. And again, I don't know what they're going to be used for, but we'll find out eventually. Here's what the box looks like. Let me construct it first. Alright, front of it is here. The sides have the 3 colors of the deck on it. And then on the back of it is that picture. Life wheel, generic. Obviously, it's just black with a planeswalker symbol. The insert, which will have a little bit of information about the deck. And then some additional commander rules like they all have. And then on the other side, we have Aragorn and Eowyn. And then, of course, magic colors and a description of them. Not really that important. Then we've got the deck, and we've got the sample pack. So we're going to open the sample pack first. Let me zoom a little bit in so when I open it, you can see the cards better. Probably didn't zoom in enough. And let's open her up. Alright, let's see what we got. So, Palomar of Orthain, sorry. And then a Gandalf, Friend of the Shire foil. So those are the 2 cards I got in my collector's sample pack. But the important thing here is what's in the deck. Let's zoom in a little bit more, actually. And open it up. Alright, I already explained to you what Eowyn does, so we'll skip that for now. The secondary commander that they have suggested is Aragorn, King of Gondor, and this one is 1 red, 1 blue, 1 white, 1 of any, so 4 to cast for a 4/4 human noble with vigilance, lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, and then whenever Aragorn attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. If you're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. It's combat shenanigans. So the rest of the deck starts with Lost to Legend, and if you want to read it, you can go ahead and read them. I'm not going to read every single card off. I don't even know how to say that. Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold. That looks specific to this set. Vanishing Light, that's a reprint. Fiend Hunter, another reprint. A good one, but a reprint. Palace Jailer. Path to Exile, good removal. Sunset Revelry. Swords to Plowshares, some more removal. Village Bell Ringer. Prince, what does that say? Imral Hill, the Fair. I don't know. The names really elude me. I watched the movies recently, but the names just really elude me. 2 to cast, 2/2 whenever you draw your second card each turn. Create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. That's actually pretty fun. I would build a deck around that. Humble Defector. I believe that's a reprint as well. Theoden, King of Rohan. That one's a 3 to cast, 2/3 legendary human noble as well. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, creatures gain double strike until end of turn. Oh, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Heirloom Blade. I believe this is actually a pretty good card. It's 3 to cast for an artifact equipment that the equipped creature gets +3/+1, and whenever the equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it, and then put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it equips for 1. That's actually pretty good. It helps keep your deck churning a little bit. That's not bad. Herald's Horn, really, really good reprint. Soul Ring, Talisman of Conviction, that's the red-white one. It's a mana rock. Talisman of Progress is the blue-white one. I assume that there's going to be a third one. Thought Vessel, really good reprint. We need more of these reprinted. Wayfarer's Bauble, Command Tower, Evolving Wilds, Field of Ruin, Land Destruction Land. Always nice to see them doing that again. Path of Ancestry, Rogue's Passage, Secluded Courtyard, not a bad land. Terramorphic Expanse, Baragond of the Guard, so 4 to cast 3/3 whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control. Creatures you control get +1/+1 in Vigilance until end of turn. Not bad. Champions of Minas Tirith. This one's a 6 to cast, 4/6. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of combat, on each opponent's turn, if you're the Monarch, that opponent may pay X, where X is the number of cards in their hand, and if they don't, they can't attack you this turn. Okay. Where this combat works the same. Gilrian Dundane Protector, 3 to cast, 2/3, has an ability that you pay 2 and tap it to exile another target creature that you control, and you may return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and if you don't, at the beginning of the next end step, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control with a Vigilance counter and a lifelink counter on it. Okay. Grey Host Reinforcements. So that's another one that's probably new to this set. 4 to cast for a 1/1 with flying and ward 3. And then when it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard and put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of creatures exiled this way. So it can exile opponent graveyards and then grow. That's not bad. Lostnark Captain is a 4 to cast 3/1 with first strike. It's a human soldier. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, you tap target creature and opponent controls, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. That's actually pretty good. Archivist of Gondor, it's 3 to cast 2/3. Whenever your commander deals combat damage to a player, if there is no Monarch, you become the Monarch, and at the beginning of the Monarch's end step, that player draws a card, which they already do as the Monarch anyway. Okay. Denethor Stoneseer has a 2 to cast 1/3. That when it enters the battlefield, you scry 2, and then for 4 tapping and sacking it, target player becomes the Monarch, and it deals 3 damage to any target. So, weird card, but I'll go with it. Alright. Fealty of the Realm. It's a 5 to cast aura, so it enchants a creature. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch, and the Monarch controls enchanted creature, and enchanted creature attacks each combat if able, and can attack you. Okay. Weird. It's a weird way to do goading. Call for Aid. I'm not going to read that one. Gimli of the Glittering Caves. It's a 3 to cast 1/1 legendary dwarf. It's Gimli, of all things. It's a 1/1 double striker, and then whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Gimli, and then whenever Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. So that's actually pretty good. Boromir, Gondor's Hope. 4 to cast 3/4. Whenever Boromir, Gondor's Hope enters the battlefield or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a human or an artifact card from among them, and put it into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's actually pretty good. I like that card. Yomer, King of Rohan. It's 5 to cast for a 2/2 with double strike. When it enters the battlefield, It enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other human that you control, so that could be pretty big in this deck. And then when it enters the battlefield, target player becomes the monarch, and Eowyn deals damage equal to its power to any target. Faramir, Steward of Gondor. It's a 3 to cast 2/2. That whenever a legendary creature with mana value 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your end step, if you're the monarch, create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens, soldier creature tokens. Fourth, Yorlingus. I guess that's how it's said. It's a sorcery that's 1 red, 1 white, and X. And you create X 2/2 white human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. And then whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to 1 or more players this turn, you become the monarch. There's a lot of monarch stuff in this one. Oath of Yorl. 5 to cast for a saga. First chapter says create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. Second chapter says create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. And the final chapter, before it's destroyed, says put an indestructible counter on up to 1 target human, and you become the monarch. There's a lot of monarch stuff in here. I get it because it's the Riders of Rohan, but damn. Riders of Rohan. It's a 5 to cast 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste, and you can dash it for 6. I do like the dash cost because you can cast it over and over again, so that's not bad. Taunt from the Rampart. I'm not going to read that. You can go ahead and read it if you want. Crown of Gondor. It's a 3 to cast legendary artifact equipment. The equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature that you control. That's pretty good. And then, especially in this deck, when a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. And it equips for 4, but this ability costs 3 less to activate if you're the monarch. Bastion Protector. 3 to cast 3/3 that gives commander creatures you control +2/+2 and indestructible. That's pretty good. Dearly Departed. That is a reprint. Frontline Medic. I believe that's also a reprint. I could be wrong. Increasing Devotion. It's a reprint that creates tokens. Marshal's Anthem. It's a nice little anthem. It's in the name. It's a reprint as well. Selfless Squire. Unbreakable Formation. That's probably a card coming out of this deck. I'm not really a fan of that card. Verge Rangers. It's a 3 to cast 3/3. Has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. And as long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play cards from the top of your library. That's pretty good, actually, especially for white. Visions of Glory. 5 to cast sorcery. You create a 1/1 white human creature token for each creature that you control. And it flashes back so you can cast it again. Weathered Wayfarer. That's a reprint that helps go get land. Combat Celebrant. Creates extra combats, which is really nice. That's a really good reprint. Second half. Court of Ire. That's a reprint as well. Earthquake. I always liked Earthquake. I don't know why, but I always liked it. It's a good reprint. Flame Rush Rider. I don't think this is a reprint. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a 5 to cast 3/3 human warrior that says whenever it attacks, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature, and that's tapped and attacking. Exile it at the end of combat, and it dashes. So that's actually pretty good. I like that. Frontier Warmonger. So it's a 4 to cast 4/4. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents or planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace. Harsh Mentor. That's actually a reprint. Shared Animosity. Really good reprint. I'm happy to see that. Zealous Conscripts. Another reprint. Supreme Verdict. Very good board wipe. Can't be countered and destroys all creatures. That's a nice reprint. Door of Destinies is one of the artifacts that is a buff for your creatures. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Most likely it's going to be human in this deck. And then whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on it, and creatures you control get +1/+1 for each counter on it. So that's pretty good. It's a nice big buff. Vanquisher's Banner. Also a nice little artifact that's a buffer for your guys. Battlefield Forge. It's red-white Painland. Clifftop Retreat. It's the red-white Checkland. Exotic Orchard, which shouldn't be in every deck, but it is. Fury Calm Snarl. It's one of those ones that can come into play untapped if you reveal one of the types. So this one, you reveal plains or a mountain. Glacial Fortress. It's the blue-white Checkland. It's really good. Port Town. Prairie Stream. Sulphur Falls. Another Checkland. Wow, they did put the good lands in here. Throne of the High City. So it's a land that taps to add a colorless. Doesn't come into play tapped, which is nice. And then for 4 and tapping and sacking it, you become the monarch. Okay. Really leaning into that monarch. Windbrisk Heights. This has the Hideaway. Tranquil Cove comes into play tapped. Windscarred Crag. I believe we're going to hit nothing but the basics here. So plains, islands, and mountains. Here's the thick version of Eowyn, and I'm butchering the names. I apologize. It's not my strong suit. This is the thick version, so you don't shuffle it in your deck. You can use it as your commander. And then the tokens. Human soldiers. Human knights. Treasures. The ring, which we need. And then on the other side, we've got monarch token, which we need. Human tokens. Galore. And that's what we have. And that, my Hobbit-loving friends, is what was in the Lord of the Rings Riders of Rohan Commander precon. This deck wasn't based on knights like I thought it was, but it is a human tribal/typal deck, which isn't bad. In fact, of the Lord of the Rings precons I've opened so far, this one seems like the easiest to play for beginners, and out of the box, the most powerful as well. The other little surprise was that the deck also had a sub-theme revolving around the Monarch mechanic that I wasn't expecting, but it was a pleasant surprise because it helps you draw extra cards, which this deck sorely needed. As good as this deck was though, no deck is perfect, and every one of them can use a little sprucing up, so please be sure to join me tomorrow, where I'll be doing a small upgrade guide for this deck. It doesn't look like it will need a lot like the previous 2 precons did, but you never know. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and if you could, please do me the favor of giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so yet, sharing this out to anyone you think would enjoy it or get anything out of it, and visiting our sponsored arcane-fortress.com and using discount code BLUEBEAR for an additional 5% off your order if you decide to purchase anything from them. Now go and watch some of my many other videos, then I will see you tomorrow for the upgrade guide.